Okay. He has something to say. Hey guys, it's been a while since I've talked to you guys. I don't actually know how I like this angle, but it's the best one that I could like settle on, you know? So that's what we're going with. Sorry, I'm eating a candy. Let's see if I can show you guys my cat really quick. Come here. There he is. You can kind of see him. That's his butt. Sorry. My bad. He's being clingy today, so we're gonna have to deal with that. But if you guys can tell by the title of this video, we're not doing too hot. I think that where I'm standing right now, life-wise, this bottom is really made of rock. The floor is made of floor. This floor is made of rock. That's where I'm at. I feel like I've hit my rock bottom. I actually don't think things could get worse for me from here, which is kind of the most exciting prospect as of late, sadly enough. So let's talk about it. This is not like my usual hey I'm back videos that I make at least once every few months on this channel. More than just saying hey I'm back this time, I kind of wanted to catch you guys up on the past like year. And if you're wondering why I'm holding this mic and it's a clip-on, it's because I think it's going to keep hitting against my necklace. So in order to not have that happen, I'm just going to hold it. Let's catch up. Let's rewind a little bit. And I have a lot of vlog footage from the past like year that I just haven't been able to edit. Like I just haven't gotten to. Not been able to in the sense that like I haven't had enough storage in the correct places on the correct devices to be able to put those where I need them to be, because I need to edit on my computer, so I need to get the footage on my computer. But yeah, so that's a whole thing. And also just like obviously I'm not doing too hot, haven't been doing too hot for a little bit, so I just haven't had the wherewithal to even be on the computer editing. But I'm hoping to get back into that. Obviously, that's why I'm making this video, is to just try and do things again, like get into doing things again. I'm kind of making this video half selfishly and half not, and like maybe 1% for the content, because I want to be able to, obviously, I'm going to share this with my therapist. Obviously, I've shared it with some of my friends, but there's a clip of a vlog that I never got to editing that I don't know if I'm going to even put out anymore, where it's me just being really vulnerable in my car after a dance class. And I don't think I have the clip anymore, but it's basically me just being like, I've been saying that I want to be vulnerable and let you guys in on my life. And that means not only the good parts of it, but like the terrible, hard parts, the difficult parts. Because I've always thought that like, actually I heard it in a Leo Skeppy podcast, his Aware and Aggravated podcast. I do listen to Leo Skeppy's podcast. He said that he really wishes there were people that would like be more open about their struggles. And so I decided, since I really like that idea, that I think that's kind of what I want my content to focus on, is just like sharing what I'm going through, not only for me to be able to share, but also because I don't think there's a ton of unique experiences you can have in this life. And so that means that someone at some point either is or has or is going to go through what I'm going through. And maybe, you know, like me sharing will help those people know that they're not alone, have this as like you know those videos that you just put on when you're kind of rotting, you know you need to do stuff. Well, at least this is me, so I'm assuming there's more people out there than just me that do this. But it's like, you know you have stuff to get done, but you're kind of not, you're in a rut, you're not really feeling it, and so you kind of just put something on in the background. And it's easier to be productive when you've got like something you're listening to, like a audiobook or like a podcast or just like YouTube videos. And so since I consume that kind of content, I figured that'd be some good content for me to try and create, because I want to create stuff that I like, and that's the stuff that I'm gearing towards at the moment. So yeah, if you're going through a tough time, I'm sorry. Me too, twin. Hopefully we can kind of ride this out together. I don't know. Let's start at last summer, I guess, and then the lead up into where my burnout kind of got the best of me. And I'm currently sitting in rock bottom, so the story doesn't have an end yet. We'll kind of get through that together, I think. So a year ago, I did go to the Catherine Morgan and Friends retreat. The last in-person retreat. They had another in-person event in the fall of last year also, but it was just like a 1 or 2 day workshop. So I went to the last like summer retreat that they had, and that was all good and well, and I had a lot of fun. And there was also I was talking to someone around this time, but we weren't like super serious or whatever. This plays a lot into like what got me to rock bottom, honestly, but there's so many factors that have contributed to my downfall that I'll try and include all of them, but this might be all over the place. I don't know. I had been doing my Etsy shop until I left for that trip, so that had all been going well and good. I had just gotten my new job, the one that I've been working at, that I had vlogged about maybe once or twice. It was definitely in like a day in my life. I took you guys to work with me, so there was that. Everything was fine and good. I came back from that trip, and I kind of just let myself, it wasn't like terrible, I kind of just let myself settle. And if you guys know from my other videos, I'm a dancer. I also do ballet. And once you hit like the fall, that's usually when you start Nutcracker season. And I do usually participate in Nutcracker season at my studio. It gets to be a lot especially during Nutcracker season, all the rehearsals and stuff, because I'm not a student. Like I said, I'm an adult dancer, but I do dance a few pieces. Like I do get a few roles with our junior company, which is like, you know, the highest level of students. So there are a few more rehearsals that I have to go to, and also there are Saturday, that would make Saturdays a longer day for me because I'm at rehearsal for so many different things. So I'm just in the studio all day, and I can't actually remember anything going terribly wrong between the summer and last Nutcracker season. And I think this is the time where I had tried to vlog a little bit more, but it's kind of hard because my studio has like a no cameras policy, so I actually can't vlog any of my classes or rehearsals in the studio. So that's just big chunks of time that I wouldn't be able to like help visualize for you guys. It would just be me talking about a lot of stuff, and then just like also big gaps in my day where I kind of can't film. So I've decided that like it's probably not worth the hassle to try and film ballet stuff when I go to my home studio. But I had tried to kind of vlog a little bit, and so I don't think I have a lot, if any, clips from around that time. But this was when I had started like my relationship, like with the person I was talking to, quote unquote, like seeing, kind of got tumultuous. So around the holiday season, it really sucked. We had gone through this whole thing, and we'd kind of had, unfortunately, a tumultuous relationship for like most of the time that we've been trying to make it work. And you'll see why that is important to the development of the story later. But it was tumultuous, but we had kind of figured it out a little bit, went into the new year kind of feeling a little more hopeful. I was doing KawaiiCon this year, so I did it in it wasn't April, so this past April I went to KawaiiCon, so it was a lot of like preparing for that. I also had actually asked to be in our studio spring recital with the junior company, so just a little more responsibility, not as much, but I did do 2 pieces in our spring recital, as well as I was doing KawaiiCon. So there were a lot of things happening, and also I had just come off of, not just, but it was a few months, like maybe a couple of months off of Nutcracker, and I was actually feeling really overwhelmed because this past holiday season, a lot of people's time off got approved, and so that meant that I was working a lot more hours than I had originally signed up for at my job. And I'm on my feet basically all day at my job. It's an 8-hour shift where I rarely get to actually sit, and I'm moving around a lot. But I think actually I've talked about this with a few other dancers, and like the standing is usually what gets us, honestly. So it's basically just the standing all day into the rehearsals, and I was working more hours and also dancing more because I was rehearsing at the studio, so I was at the studio more often. And it kind of got a little overwhelming for me at the end of Nutcracker season, and there was nothing really I could do. I think I took a week off of work in March, which kind of helped, but not really, because I was also preparing for KawaiiCon, so it was kind of just like back to back to back of a bunch of things happening. And I still at this point wanted to make dance work, which is kind of the reason that I took the job that I had gotten right before the retreat, because if you guys don't know, I run an Etsy shop. Jansen, who I don't think has been on the channel before, but like has filmed a good amount of my videos, actually had a business on Etsy that he had decided to close because he's a person with a 9 to 5, and it was just too much for him. So he decided to give me the business because it was still like, he was still getting orders. It wasn't like he was flopping or anything. Like his business was still doing well. And I think at the time I was unemployed, so he'd given me everything to kind of sell his products that he had developed on my Etsy shop, because I also had an Etsy shop that did not do even remotely this, like did not even sell remotely the same products, not even the same demographic, but it was fine. It was whatever, because if people wanted it, they were going to find it, you know what I mean? And he rarely posts now on like his car page because it was car accessories, but when he was, people were still, you know, like looking for his product, and he was able to point them in my direction, which is great. I still kind of get like a good enough amount of orders, but I wanted to get more income just so I could dance more and really make dance work. And so I had kind of pushed through the exhaustion of working more hours, spending more time at the studio, just being on my feet, and like physically, when things are physically taking a toll on you, I feel like we don't think about how much mentally that takes up when you're just kind of pushing through the exhaustion. And that's basically what I was doing, was just pushing through. And I knew that it was kind of reaching a point where I needed to reassess what was going on in my life. When I had reached that point of like, I was trying to find something else to look forward to that wasn't this. Like I had to just make it to a certain point, and that was kind of what was keeping me sane. And so I thought I would just get through Nutcracker season. But when you're in Nutcracker season, it's like that's almost like the longest and most arduous season of studios that aren't companies. So it was like 3 or 4 months where I was just like, I just need to get through these next 3 or 4 months. And that's kind of a long time mentally to just be going through the motions and hoping that you get through. It was a lot of, I did at 1 or 2 points have kind of just like a breakdown about just how tired I was and how I didn't see an end to being tired physically and mentally and just like emotionally. And it was kind of really hard to get through. And then I think there was kind of this period where it didn't stop necessarily, but it did calm down a little bit at the beginning of this year. But like I said, I had to deal with KawaiiCon and also like the spring recital and dancing. And it's all kind of things that you can look at and say are, because they're optional, they feel a little like arbitrary. But when you want to do things, I think you have to take into account that those are things you want to do, and it doesn't make it trivial just because it's not needed for survival, I feel like. Because part of surviving is taking care of your mental and emotional health, and these were things that I wanted for myself, and so pursuing those things were like me taking care of my mental and emotional health. So there was all of that I was dealing with, and so I had just decided actually to step back from the job that I had gotten last year. So I'm now on call, no longer on the schedule. We didn't do as well at KawaiiCon as I had hoped, and I had so much I think just like emotionally riding on it, that it kind of, when we didn't do as well as I was anticipating, that was kind of the point where I felt the burnout affecting me, and so I had asked to be moved to be on call. I'd actually originally put in my 2 weeks, but they had offered an on-call position, which I took instead. And then it was just the exhaustion after QuietCon weekend, because QuietCon is a lot. I did vlog it, so hopefully I'll get to editing those and have those out at some point. But QuietCon is just a lot to do when you're a vendor. Honestly, when you're just like participating in any capacity, that's like working the convention, it's a lot. And then we still had the spring recital, so still going to rehearsals for that, and it was exhausting. And then after we had our spring recital, like a week or so after the spring recital, the person that I was talking to, seeing, quote unquote, had actually just decided to break it off with me because we were not, like, we couldn't really find a way to make it work. And that really sucked because I knew that most of it was just my fault, and like my inability to like break bad habits and like recognize and break cycles and patterns. And so that kind of felt like everything was happening at once, all at once, that like I was exhausted. I had to get through QuietCon, spring recital. I had just took myself off the schedule for my job, so I wasn't going to like have that consistently. And then we had gotten in a fight, and that was that. And I don't know, that was the, so here we are. I've just kind of been spending the past few days in between like being miserable and trying to rebuild from a place of like accepting this time that this is rock bottom. And like Jesus said about Peter, this is the foundation upon which I will build. So just trying to rebuild my life and understanding that like I don't think it gets any worse than this. I've actually been a mess for like the past few days. It's not been pretty. I've been crying all the time. Before we had even talked about the situation, like ending the situation, I'd spent the past like 2 weeks just knowing that it was gonna happen, and like having this anticipatory dread, and walking around like I said that I felt like I was walking around my house, like haunting my own house. Like I felt like a ghost, like a shell of a person. And then it did finally, like the reality of it hit me when it did happen. And so I've just been miserable. I've been crying all the time. But I've also been trying to embrace like a healthier side of healing and understanding that I'm not gonna die. I'm not in immediate danger. I just need to learn how to regulate my emotions and learn how to be a person after a breakup. And so I've been trying to be outside and be with people and not be miserable in my house by myself, and not try to ruminate, and set up an appointment for therapy. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Welcome to my rock bottom. I'm going to therapy. I am kind of rebuilding my Etsy shop and my life. I'm going to try and get back on doing content, just things that I have been wanting to do, but because I was kind of content where I was, I just like wasn't pushing for what I had originally envisioned for myself. Do you know what I mean? So if you're struggling right now, if you're going through a breakup, like a friend breakup, maybe a change in family dynamics, or you've just gotten dumped like I have, hey, you're not alone. Come with me on this journey. Let's figure it out together. I'll keep you guys updated on how therapy goes for me. I'll keep you guys updated on everything. Hopefully you guys will see lots more from me. I just wanted to kind of be open and like tell you guys where I'm at. It's not great, but it is somewhere and it is something, and here we are, and we are here. And sometimes you can't do things about your situation, but you can always do something about your situation. There's always a factor that you can control somewhere, and I just have to find those and see what I can do about that, I guess. It's like kind of weird thinking about like going back to life after being broken up with, because like I guess this time too, this was like the most involved person in like my life and the things that I would think would be quote unquote separate from my relationship. Like this person was really supportive and wanted to be like involved in the things that I did. So I think that's why it's so hard to think about doing the things that I did before and like doing the things I'm interested in without them. But what can you do? So that's that. I'll get to editing this. I have to get some work done actually, so I'm probably gonna put on a YouTube video and get to editing this after I get work done. And I say this all the time, but just let me know what you guys want to see from me. Yeah. Alright. I'll see you guys later.